Welcome back to my channel. We are going to be talking about the severely anxious attachment style, often referred to anxious preoccupied, but to the severe extent, not extreme, severe. So let's get into it. So a person who is severely anxious attachment would have intense emotional distress rooted with that deep-seated fear of abandonment at this point. They will have a constant need for reassurance, almost to the point where they're asking it repeatedly. Or maybe if they don't feel like your answer is sufficient for their insecure thinking, they're going to ask you over and over again until they actually get the answer you want. So the partner will start feeling a little bit overwhelmed at this point. Are we okay? Do you still love me? I feel something is different. Are you sure we're okay? Even if you tell them yes, they still don't feel like they're okay. Hypervigilance, we talked about this before. They're extremely sensitive to minor changes in tone, text response, facial expressions, even like your overall mood, like the things that you're doing, the time on your phone. At this point, being a severe anxious attachment, they would really start feeling and looking for every sign that you're going to be leaving them. This is not a good thing. I will not say this is a good thing, but this is a point where it would be clinically diagnosed as severe anxiety. Often interpreting your neutrality, like you just say, yeah, we're fine, we're cool, it's fine. That's neutrality, and they will be starting to think of that even as a sign of rejection at that point. Clinginess, y'all do know that anxious people are clingy, right? It's like super clingy. With severely anxious folks, the clinginess is to a point where they are hanging on for dear life. So when they feel a threat in a relationship, they may engage in protest behaviors. So to reestablish closeness, they're going to bombard their partners with text messages over and over and over and over, calling repeatedly. This is a part where their insecurity really starts taking over, their fear starts taking over, and it becomes very overwhelming to their partners. This is like bypassing the whole boundary at this point. Self-sacrifice and people-pleasing. This is something anxious folks are also known about. So to ensure they may remain valuable to their partner, they may often suppress their own needs or identities, believing that they are only worthy of love if they are perfect or indispensable. So have y'all ever had someone you've been in a relationship where they just feel like they have to keep giving you gifts, even if you don't ask for it, and they give it to you and they're expecting a response at this point? They're just trying to see how you're going to be like, oh, thanks, or oh my gosh, wow, thank you so much. Okay, that is a part of the people pleasing for anxious folks, where they're looking to see if you're going to value what they give you. Anxious folks are really popularly known for gift giving. They feel like they have to keep giving and giving and giving for their partners to really accept them. And this is a point where they just completely lose their self in the relationship. What are they internalizing as an anxious person? They have a negative self-view of themselves and positive view of all others. So they often suffer from low self-esteem or imposter syndrome, and viewing others as superior and more worthy of love than themselves. This is because they were deep-rooted in that insecurity that they had inconsistent or unstable caregivers or parents, people who just were not reliable, and they could not express their emotions and feelings to them because they just didn't know what kind of parent they were going to get. Emotional overdrive. In time of stress, their nervous system goes into high alert, really high alert. This can manifest into physical symptoms like a racing heart, the pit of the stomach, and inability to concentrate on anything except for the relationship. So at this point, it's really debilitating to a point where they can't function at work. They can't function in social environments. They are often overthinking the relationship at this point. Catastrophic thinking. Yes, anxious folks do that. A single argument or a delayed text can lead to attachment-related rumination, where they mentally spiral into a worst-case scenario, such as relationship ending. This is something I've talked about with a couple of my friends, that people who overthink they're highly anxious, they'll replay scenarios in their heads that haven't even happened. And they will start thinking about what kind of response they're going to give for that type of scenario that hasn't even happened. Yes, this is the catastrophic thinking. They already think it's going to end before anything has even been told. All right, this is the part where we were going to get to for attachment styles in relationships. They have a difficulty being alone. Solitude can feel threatening or unbearable, leading to them staying in unhealthy relationships rather than to face the fear of being single. They also do not have any boundaries at this point. They may struggle to set their own boundaries or even respect those of others and people that they're in a relationship, often seeking a level of identity fusion with their partner. Jealousy and mistrust. Yes, anxious folks self-sabotage every relationship that they're in when they get to this point. Jealousy and mistrust because they do not feel secure with their own fear. You understand? So it can project onto their partner. They may be prone to intense jealousy or testing behaviors to prove their partner's loyalty. This is a part where it's super intense. Not a lot of people can handle it. And these are a couple other things that have popped up through my research. People with severe anxiety as an attachment style have a rigid interpretation of their relationship at this point. They see everything, even just the tone of voice, as a problem. And they're desperate to be heard and understood. They expect immediately results from their partner. Like, they expect you to text right away. Sometimes they dysregulate and they're inconsistent with their trust. They have long narratives of every event that's happened. They could tell you everything in detail of what's going on in the relationship, except for the respect part of it. They are hyper aware of signs of abandonment by the partner. So at this point, they're really reading your body language, and you're probably, as a partner, going to start feeling really overwhelmed at this point. Do super anxious folks self-sabotage their relationships? Absolutely, 100% they do, by stressing their partner out. At this point, you really need therapy, just so y'all know. If you are a severely anxious attachment and this video is reaching you, you might want to seek some therapy at this point, because there is no way you can continue a relationship as a severe anxious like that. I hope this video helped.